So this week's algorithm is based on a real exam question. You should have read the question already, but just to recap very quickly, the user can enter a 4-digit binary number. For example, 1011. And your program should convert this binary number into a denary number. So you might think when you first read this question that it might be quite difficult, but actually if we break it down, I think you already have all of the knowledge and the skills to be able to write this algorithm confidently. Before we start the algorithm, I just want to remind you about one string manipulation technique that will be useful later on. So for example, if we have a variable called subject, and inside that variable we put the string computer science. Let's say we want to read just the third character of this string to find out what it is. You probably remember already that in a string, every single character has an index number, even though you don't necessarily see it. And the index always starts from 0. So all of these characters are numbered. And that index allows us to refer to one specific character. So for example, if we wanted the third character to be able to see what it is, we could say something like subject, and then in brackets, the third character will be 0, 1, 2. And that would return 0, 1, 2. It would return an M. We could then store that in a variable, or we could use it directly by saying if subject brackets 2 equals M, then, and we could carry on and do something with that. That's going to be useful knowledge for you later on. But for the moment, I'm going to rub it out. Your very first job then will be to get the input from the user and to store it in a variable. Everybody knows how to do that, and so I'm not going to write that for you. So first of all, get the input. Remember to get the input on the right-hand side and pass it to the left-hand side to store it. Remember, it's always right to left to assign a value to a variable. Then you need to work out how we're going to calculate the denary number. One thing that we know about binary numbers already is that they're base 2, and we know, starting from the left, this column is worth 1, this column is worth 2, this column is worth 4, this column is worth 8, and so on. And you know, based on calculating denary by hand, that you just have to add up any of these numbers where we have a 1. That sounds as though you could probably do it with an if statement to me. But remember, you need to be able to look at just one character in a string. So whatever you called your string here, you want to look at, first of all, maybe the position 0, and then the position 1, and then the position 2, and then the position 3. So let's start writing that. So we could say something like, if whatever you called your string, and then in brackets, position 0 equals a 1, so if it is a 1, then you'll want to add to your total. So don't forget, this means in a variable called total, I want to keep whatever's inside that already and then plus 8 to it. Then your last job, you're going to want to repeat that for the other positions 1, 2 and 3. What I'm not going to tell you is whether you want to carry on using the same if statement and using else ifs, or if you should close this if statement and start a new if statement. Depending on which way you write that, you'll come up with two very different outcomes, and only one of them is correct. So you need to decide which one is the correct route, and think about why. If you need any more help with this algorithm, make sure you come and see me before it's due.